The darkness of space was broken by thousands of bright lights. They moved together like a school of fish, but these were not fish. They were warships, alien warships that had traveled across the galaxy to reach this small yellow star and the blue planet that circled it. Fleet Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominion's Wrath. His 4 arms were crossed behind his back as he watched the view screen. His red eyes glowed with satisfaction. Soon, another world would bow before the mighty Vorthon Empire. "Admiral," called his second-in-command, "Commodore Zalthek, all ships report ready. 3,000 vessels await your orders." Kethvar's mouth opened in what humans might call a smile, but his sharp teeth made it look more like a threat. "Excellent. How long since we sent scouts to study this world?" 2 cycles, sir. The planet is called Earth by its inhabitants. They call themselves humans. Our reports show they have barely left their homeworld. Their weapons are primitive. Their ships are slow and weak. The Admiral nodded. This would be easy. It always was. For 500 years, the Vorthon Empire had swept across the galaxy. Every world they found had surrendered quickly. Most species begged for mercy when they saw the great fleet. Those who fought back were crushed in hours. "Any unusual readings from their world?" Kethvar asked. Zalthek checked his datapad. "Nothing. Significant, Admiral. Some radio signals. Basic nuclear technology. They seem to have small space stations around their planet. Nothing that could threaten even one of our destroyers." Far away from the alien fleet, Captain Hansol sat in the control room of Deep Space Station 7. He was drinking coffee and reading reports when his instruments began to scream warnings. The cup fell from his hands and shattered on the floor. "What is that?" he whispered, staring at his screens. The sensors showed something impossible. Thousands of objects were entering the solar system. They were huge. They were moving in perfect formation, and they were heading straight for Earth. Hansol's hands shook as he activated the emergency communication system. "Earth Command, this is Deep Space 7. We have a Code Black situation. I repeat, Code Black." The response came quickly. "Deep Space 7, this is Admiral Boram. Report your status." "Admiral, we're tracking approximately 3,000 unknown vessels entering our system. They're massive, sir. Each one is larger than our biggest ship. They're heading for Earth." There was silence on the channel for a long moment. Then Admiral Boram's voice came back, calm but tense. "Captain Hansol, double-check your readings. That cannot be correct." "I've checked 3 times, Admiral. The readings are confirmed. We're looking at the largest fleet ever seen. And they're not ours." On Earth, in the underground war room beneath the capital city, alarms were ringing. President Taemin rushed into the command center, still wearing his morning clothes. Defense. Minister Sujin was already there, her face pale as she watched the main screen. "Show me what we're dealing with," President Taemin demanded. Admiral Boram appeared on the screen from the orbital defense platform. "Mr. President, we have confirmed contact with an alien fleet. 3,000 ships, sir. They're unlike anything we've ever seen." The president felt his stomach drop. "How long until they reach Earth?" "At their current speed, approximately 72 hours, sir." Defense Minister Sujin stepped forward. "Sir, we need to consider all options. Our entire fleet consists of 47 ships. Most are patrol vessels and cargo haulers. We have no chance in a direct fight." President Taemin closed his eyes. Humanity had always dreamed of meeting aliens, but not like this. Not with a massive war fleet approaching their home. "What about the Indomitable?" he asked quietly. Admiral Boram and Defense Minister Sujin exchanged glances. The Indomitable was Earth's greatest secret. For 20 years, humanity's best scientists and engineers had worked on it. They had used technology recovered from a crashed alien scout ship that had been found in the Arctic. The project had cost more than all other military programs combined. "The ship is ready, sir," Admiral Boram said. "Captain J. Wan and his crew have been training for 5 years. But it's still just one ship against 3,000. One ship with technology they've never seen before, Sujin added. Back in space, the Vorten fleet continued its steady approach. Admiral Kethvar was reviewing the battle plans when a communication came in from Earth. The message was simple and appeared in broken Vorten language. Unknown fleet, this is Earth government. We request meeting to discuss peaceful contact. Kethvar laughed, a sound like grinding metal. They want to talk. How amusing. Send our standard response. The reply went out across all human frequencies. It was in perfect human language, showing that the aliens had been listening to Earth's communications for some time. Primitive humans of Earth. You will surrender your world to the Vorthon Empire. You have 72 of your hours to prepare for occupation. Any resistance will result in the destruction of your cities. You cannot fight us. You cannot hide from us. Submit, and you will be allowed to live as servants of the Empire. In the Earth Command Center, the alien message played on repeat. The room was silent, except for the hum of computers and the sound of breathing. Servants, President Tae-min said, finally. They want to make us servants. Sir, we could surrender, one of the generals suggested. If we fight, they might destroy everything. At least this way, humanity survives. As slaves, Defense Minister Sujin snapped. Is that what we want for our children? To grow up bowing to alien masters? Admiral Boram's voice came through the speakers. Mr. President, Captain J-1 is requesting permission to launch. The Indomitable is ready for combat operations. President Tae-min looked around the room at the faces of his advisors. Some looked hopeful. Others looked terrified. All of them were looking at him to make the choice that would decide humanity's future. Admiral, send a message to the aliens. Tell them we need the full 72 hours to consider their terms. Yes, sir. And the Indomitable? The president took a deep breath. Tell Captain J-1 to prepare for launch. If we're going to die, we'll die fighting. On the hidden shipyard on the far side of the moon, Captain J-1 received his orders. He was a tall man with gray hair and calm eyes. He had fought in the Mars colonial wars 20 years ago. He had seen what humans could do when they fought for their homes. Crew to battle stations, he announced over the ship's communication system. This is not a drill. We launch in 6 hours. The Indomitable was unlike any ship ever built. It was 2 kilometers long and covered in armor made from materials that had taken years to develop. Its weapons were a mix of human engineering and alien technology. Its shields were powered by a reactor that used principles no human fully understood. Chief, Engineer Yuna ran final checks on the ship's systems. She was young for her position, but she had helped design every part of the ship. Captain, all systems show green. The hybrid reactor is stable. Weapons are charged and ready. Weapons Officer Hyunwoo tested his targeting systems. Sir, railguns are loaded and calibrated. Point defense is online. All weapon systems report ready. Navigator Eun-ji studied her star charts. Captain, I've plotted 17 different approach routes. I recommend we come at them from behind the asteroid belt. It might give us some cover for the initial attack. Captain Jae-won nodded to each report. Around him, 2,000 crew members, prepared for what they all knew might be humanity's last battle. They were engineers and soldiers, scientists and technicians. They came from every nation on Earth, and they all volunteered for this mission, knowing they might never see home again. Communications Officer Minho, the captain called. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we'll be ready to launch on schedule. Yes, sir, Minho replied. And sir, my family wanted me to tell you something. Win or lose, you're fighting for all of us. Every human on Earth is counting on you. Captain Jae-won looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, an alien fleet was coming to enslave his world. They thought humans were weak and primitive. They had never met a species that refused to surrender. They were about to learn something about humanity that would change the galaxy forever. 6 hours until launch, he announced to his crew. Let's show them what humans are made of. The Indomitable launched from Luna Base exactly 71 hours after the alien ultimatum. Captain J1 stood on the bridge, watching Earth grow smaller in the rear-view screen. He had left his homeworld many times before, but never like this. Never knowing he might be seeing it for the last time. "Course laid in, Captain," reported Navigator Yunji. Her voice was steady, but her hands trembled slightly as she worked at her control panel. "We'll intercept the alien fleet in approximately 6 hours. Thank you, Navigator. Chief Engineer Yuna, ship status?" Yuna looked up from her engineering station. She was only 28, but she knew the Indomitable better than anyone else alive. "All systems are running perfectly, Captain. The hybrid reactor is stable at 95% power. Artificial gravity is holding steady. We're ready for combat operations." Captain J1 walked to the center of the bridge. Around him, his officers worked quietly at their stations. These were the best people Earth could offer. They had trained together for 5 years, preparing for this moment. "Attention, crew of the Indomitable," he said into the ship's communication system. "In a few hours, we will face an enemy that has conquered hundreds of worlds. They believe we are weak. They believe we will surrender without a fight. They are wrong." Throughout the ship, 2,000 crew members stopped what they were doing to listen to their captain's words. "I won't lie to you," J1 continued. "We are outnumbered. 3,000 to 1. The odds are against us, but we have something they don't understand. We have something they've never faced before. We have the will to fight for our freedom." In the engine room, Engineer Kojun tightened a bolt on the reactor housing. He had a wife and 2 children on Earth. He would never see them again if this mission failed. In the weapons bay, Gunner Ji-hoon loaded the last railgun ammunition. Each slug was made of depleted uranium and weighed as much as a small car. When fired, they would travel at 15% of light speed. In the medical bay, Dr. So-young prepared for casualties. She hoped her skills would not be needed, but she knew better. In any battle, people got hurt. Her job was to keep them alive. "We carry with us the hopes and dreams of every person on Earth," Captain J1 said. "We fight not just for ourselves, but for our families, our friends, our entire species. Today, we show the galaxy what humanity is capable of." The bridge was silent when he finished speaking. Then Weapons Officer Hyun-woo spoke up. "Captain, it's been an honor serving with you." "The honor is mine," Jae-won replied. "All of you." Meanwhile, the Vorthan fleet continued its steady advance toward Earth. Admiral Kethvar was in his private quarters, studying reports from previous conquests. Every species followed the same pattern. First, they tried to negotiate. Then they surrendered. Those who fought back were quickly defeated. A chime sounded, and Commodore Zalthek entered the room. "Admiral, our sensors have detected a single ship leaving the human world. It appears to be heading in our direction." Kethvar looked up from his reports. "One ship? Are you certain?" "Yes, sir. It's approximately 2 kilometers in length. Unusual. Design. Our computers don't recognize the ship type." The Admiral stood up and walked to his window. Outside, he could see the lights of his fleet stretching in all directions. 3,000 of the most powerful warships in the galaxy. One ship against our entire fleet. How amusing. The humans must be even more primitive than we thought. Should we destroy it immediately, Admiral? Kethvar's mouth opened in his version of a smile. "No, let it approach. I want to see what pathetic weapons these humans have created. It will be entertaining." On the bridge of the Dominion's Wrath, Captain Mordun was reviewing tactical displays when the alert came in. "Admiral on the bridge," he announced as Kethvar entered. "Show me this human ship," the Admiral commanded. The main screen displayed a long-range view of the Indomitable. It was sleek and dark, with unusual angles that made it hard to focus on. Strange energy readings came from its hull. "Interesting," Kethvar said. Their design is different from what our scouts reported. Still, one ship cannot threaten our fleet. Sir, reported the sensor officer, the human vessel is broadcasting on all frequencies. Put it through. The voice of Communications Officer Minho filled the Vorthon bridge. He spoke in perfect Vorthon language, which surprised them. Vorthon Fleet, this is the Earth starship Indomitable. We are here to discuss terms. Admiral Kethvar laughed, the sound echoing through the bridge. Terms? One ship wants to discuss terms with our entire fleet. He activated the communication system. Human ship, I am Fleet Admiral Kethvar of the Vorthan Empire. You are either very brave or very stupid, probably both. There are no terms to discuss. Surrender now, and we will destroy you quickly. On the Indomitable's bridge, Captain J. Wan listened to the alien admiral's words. Communications, open a channel. Channel open, sir. Admiral Kethvar, this is Captain J. Wan of the Earthship Indomitable. I'm afraid we cannot accept your terms. We prefer to make our own. The Vorthon bridge erupted in laughter. Even Commodore Zaldthek found it amusing. One small ship challenging the might of the Empire. Human captain, Kethvar said. You cannot be serious. Look at your sensors. Count our ships. You face 3,000 of the finest warships ever built. Your single vessel cannot possibly... Admiral, Captain Jawan interrupted. You've made one serious mistake. And what is that? You assume we're here to surrender. The laughter on the Vorthon bridge stopped. Admiral Kethvar's red eyes narrowed. Captain, you cannot possibly believe you can fight us. We don't believe we can fight you, Admiral. We know we can. Kethvar's face darkened with anger. No primitive species had ever spoken to him with such disrespect. Captain Mordun, target that ship. Prepare to fire. Yes, Admiral. On the Indomitable, Weapons Officer Hyun Woo watched his targeting systems. Captain, they're locking weapons on us. Multiple ships are turning in our direction. All hands, battle stations, Captain Jae-won announced. This is it, people. Today we make history. Navigator Yoon-ji's hands flew over her controls. Evasive maneuvers ready, Captain. We can dance around them for a while, but not forever. Chief, Engineer Yoon-ah called from her station. Captain, the hybrid shields are charging. I'm reading full power to all defensive systems. Admiral Kethvar watched the human ship on his screen. It was so small compared to his massive fleet, so alone. Fire a warning shot. Show them what our weapons can do. 3 Vorthan destroyers fired plasma torpedoes at the space near the Indomitable. The bright green energy weapons lit up the darkness like miniature suns. The display of power was meant to terrify the humans into surrender. Instead, Captain Jae-won's voice came back over the communication channel. Admiral, is that the best you can do? We're not impressed. Rage filled Kethvar's voice. Destroy them! All ships! Open fire! Sir, Captain Morden said, should we use full power? We still don't know what their ship is capable of. They're humans, Kethvar snarled. Primitives with crude weapons! Destroy them now! The Vorthon fleet opened fire. Hundreds of plasma cannons sent brilliant streams of energy toward the single human ship. It was the kind of firepower that could destroy a small moon. On the Indomitable, alarms rang as the energy weapons approached. Impact in 10 seconds, Navigator Yoon-ji called out. All hands, brace for impact, Captain Jae-won ordered. The plasma torpedoes struck the Indomitable's shields. The bridge shook, but not as much as anyone expected. Status lights remained green across all panels. Damage report, the captain called. No damage, sir, Chief Engineer Yoon-ah reported, checking her readings twice to be sure. The hybrid shields absorbed the energy. Actually, sir, they're stronger now than before. Captain Jae-won smiled. This was what they had hoped for, but they had never tested it against real alien weapons. The shields feed on energy weapons. The more they shoot at us, the stronger our defenses become. On the Vorthan flagship, Confusion filled the bridge. "Report!" Admiral Kethvar demanded. "Sir, our weapons had no effect. The human ship's shields appear to be intact. Impossible. Fire again. Full power this time." More energy weapons streaked toward the Indomitable. Again, the shields absorbed the attack. Again, the human ship remained undamaged. "Admiral," Commodore Zaltek said, "their shields are unlike anything we've encountered. Our energy weapons seem to make them stronger." Kethvar stared at the screen in disbelief. In 500 years of conquest, no species had ever survived a full attack from his fleet. "What are they?" Captain J1 activated the communication system one more time. "Admiral Kethvar, thank you for charging our shields. Now let us show you what human weapons can do." The tone in the human captain's voice sent a chill through the Vorthan bridge. For the first time in his long military career, Admiral Kethvar felt something he had almost forgotten: fear. Captain J1 stood at the center of the Indomitable's bridge, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. 3,000 alien ships surrounded his vessel like angry wasps around a hive. But the wasps had already stung, and their poison had only made the hive stronger. "Weapons Officer Hyunwoo," he said calmly, "target the lead destroyer squadron. Prepare main battery for firing." "Yes, sir," Hyunwoo replied, his fingers dancing across his control panel. "Railguns loaded and locked on. Target, ready to fire on your command," Chief Engineer Yuna called from her station. "Captain, shield strength is now at 140% of normal power. Their energy weapons are making us stronger with every shot." On the Vorthan flagship, Admiral Kethvar watched in growing disbelief as his sensors showed the human ship's shields actually increasing in power. "This is impossible," he muttered. "No species has ever developed shields that feed on energy weapons." "Admiral," Captain Mordoon said, "perhaps we should withdraw and study this new technology before—" "No!" Kethvar roared. "We are the Vorthan Empire. We do not retreat from a single primitive ship." He activated the fleet communication system. "All ships, continue firing. Concentrate all weapons on that vessel." The Vorthan fleet unleashed another massive volley. Hundreds of plasma cannons lit up space with brilliant green fire. Energy beams thick as buildings streaked toward the Indomitable. From every direction, Navigator Yoonji watched the incoming fire on her screen. "Captain, they're hitting us with everything they have. Shield power is climbing to 160%. "Perfect," Captain J1 said. "Hyunwoo, fire." The Indomitable's main railgun fired for the first time in actual combat. The depleted uranium slug left the ship at 15% of light speed. It was invisible to the naked eye, but the Vorthan sensors tracked it easily. "Sir," the Vorthan weapons officer reported, "the human ship has fired some kind of projectile. It appears to be just a piece of metal?" Admiral Kethvar laughed. "Metal? They're throwing metal at us? Our shields will—" The railgun slug hit the lead Vorthan destroyer. The alien ship's energy shields, designed to deflect plasma and laser. Weapons might as well have been made of paper. The solid projectile punched through the shields, through the hull, and out the other side. For a moment, the destroyer continued moving forward. Then it exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The Vorthan bridge fell silent. "Report, Admiral," Kethvar whispered. "Sir, the conquest of worlds has been destroyed. Complete hull breach. No survivors." "One shot," Commodore Zaltek said in amazement. "They destroyed a destroyer with one shot." Captain J1's voice came over the communication channel again. "Admiral, that was our smallest gun. Would you like to see what the big ones can do?" Kethvar's 4 hands clenched into fists. "All ships, evasive maneuvers. Do not present easy targets. Continue firing but maintain distance." The Vorthan fleet began to spread out, breaking their perfect formation for the first time in centuries. Ships that had moved like a single organism now scattered like startled fish. But the Indomitable was not finished. Weapons Officer Yun Wu had locked onto 3 more targets. "Captain, secondary batteries ready to fire." Fire at will. 6 more. Railgun slugs launched from the human ship. Each one found its target. 3 more Vorthon destroyers exploded in rapid succession, their debris spreading across space like deadly fireworks. "Impossible," Admiral Keithvar breathed. "How are they penetrating our shields?" On the Indomitable, Navigator Yunji was already moving the ship toward the next group of alien vessels. The human ship moved with grace and speed that surprised the Vorthons. It seemed to dance between their formations, always staying just out of reach of their main guns. "The artificial gravity system lets us pull maneuvers that would kill most aliens," she explained to a young ensign who was watching in amazement. "Their bodies can't handle the acceleration we can survive." Medical Officer So Young monitored the crew's condition from her station on the bridge. "All crew members showing normal vital signs. The gravity compensation is working perfectly." Chief Engineer Yuna called out another update. "Captain, shield power is now at 180%. We're storing enough energy to power a small city." "Can we redistribute that power to our weapons?" Captain Jaewon asked. "Already on it, sir. Weapon charging time reduced by 50%. We can fire twice as fast as designed." The battle continued for another hour. The Indomitable moved through the Vorthon fleet like a shark among minnows. Every time the alien ships fired their energy weapons, they only made the human ship stronger. Every time the humans fired back, another alien ship died. Communications Officer Minho intercepted panicked messages between the Vorthon ships. "Captain, they're starting to break formation. Some of their commanders are requesting permission to retreat." "What's Admiral Kethavar's response?" "He's ordering them to continue the attack. But, sir, I'm detecting fear in their communications. They're not used to taking casualties." Indeed, the Vorthon Empire had grown soft over the centuries. Their overwhelming technology had made conquest easy. They rarely lost even a single ship in battle. Now they had lost 27 vessels, and the human ships seemed untouchable. "Captain." Morden approached Admiral Kethvar's command chair. "Sir, perhaps we should reconsider our tactics. Their weapons appear to be kinetic projectiles. Our shields are not designed to stop solid objects moving at such high speeds." "Are you suggesting we retreat from primitives?" Kethvar snarled. "I'm suggesting we adapt, Admiral. This is not like any enemy we've faced before." On his tactical display, Kethvar watched another destroyer explode under human fire. The ship had served the Empire for 300 years. Its crew of 800 was gone in an instant. "Very well," he said finally. "Order all ships to switch to kinetic weapons. If energy weapons make them stronger, we'll try a different approach." The Vorthon fleet began firing solid projectiles instead of energy beams. Metal slugs and explosive missiles streaked toward the Indomitable. But these weapons were much slower than the human railguns, and Navigator Yunji had no trouble avoiding most of them. Those that did hit were stopped by the ship's armor. The Indomitable had been built with lessons learned from the alien technology. Its hull was made of materials that could absorb tremendous impacts. "Minor damage to outer hull sections 7 and 12, Chief Engineer Yuna reported. "Nothing critical. We can handle this level of attack indefinitely." Captain Jaewon nodded. The battle was going better than they had dared hope. But he knew the aliens would eventually try something different. They had not conquered half the galaxy by being stupid. His concern proved correct when Admiral Kethvar issued new orders. "All ships, prepare for ramming attacks. If we cannot destroy them with weapons, we will crush them with our hulls." 50. Vorthan ships suddenly changed course, accelerating directly toward the Indomitable. Each alien vessel was massive, much larger than the human ship. If even one of them hit, it could cause serious damage. "Evasive maneuvers," Captain Jaewon ordered. "Hyun-woo, target the lead rams. We need to thin them out before they reach us. The Indomitable's guns spoke again and again. Railgun slugs tore through the attacking ships, but there were too many of them. Some would get through. Brace for impact. Navigator Yunji called as a Vorthan cruiser closed to ramming distance. The alien ship struck the Indomitable's shields at full speed. The impact sent shockwaves through both vessels. The Vorthan cruiser's front section crumpled like paper, but the human ship was thrown off course. "Damage report," Captain J1 called. "Shield generators overloaded on the port side," Chief Engineer Yuna reported. "We're down to 80% shield strength. Hull breach on deck 15, but it's been sealed." Medical Officer So Young's voice came over the intercom. "Medical teams to deck 15. We have injured crew members." For the first time since the battle began, the Indomitable had taken real damage. The crew felt a moment of fear, but it quickly changed to anger. The aliens had hurt their ship. They had hurt their friends. "Target their command ships," Captain J1 ordered. "Let's see how brave they are when we go after their leaders." Weapons Officer Hyun-woo smiled grimly as he locked onto the largest Vorthan vessels. "Yes, sir. Time to cut the head off the snake." The Indomitable's main gun spoke once more. This time the target was not a destroyer or cruiser. It was a Vorthan battleship, pride of their fleet. The railgun slug hit the alien battleship's command tower. The massive ship shuddered, then began to list to one side as atmosphere vented into space. "Direct hit on the Eternal Conquest," Hyun-woo reported. "She's dead in space." Throughout the Vorthan fleet, alien commanders watched in horror as one of their mightiest ships was crippled by a single shot. Panic began to spread through their ranks, but Admiral Kethvar was not finished. If conventional weapons could not stop the humans, he would try something else, something that would show these primitives the true power of the Vorthan Empire. "Prepare the Hammer of Dominion," he ordered. Captain Mordun's eyes widened. "Sir, that weapon has never been tested in actual combat. The energy requirements alone—" "Prepare it," Kethvar repeated. "We will show these humans what happens when they defy the Empire." The battle was about to enter a new and deadlier phase. Admiral Kethvar stood before the massive weapon console on his flagship's bridge. The Hammer of Dominion was the Empire's most devastating weapon, designed to crack planets in half. It had never been used against a single ship before, but desperate times called for desperate measures. "Sir," Captain Mordun said nervously, "the weapon is charging, but it will take 10 minutes to reach full power. The energy drain is massive. We'll have to shut down shields on half our fleet to power it." "Do it," Kethvar commanded. His red eyes burned with rage as he watched the human ship continue to destroy his vessels. In the last hour, the Indomitable had killed 63 Vorthan ships. The pride of the Empire was being torn apart by a single enemy vessel. "Admiral," Commodore Zaltek reported from his station, "we're receiving requests for retreat from 17 ship commanders. Morale is collapsing. The crews have never seen losses like this." Kethvar slammed his 4 fists on the command console. "Tell them that any ship that retreats will be destroyed by the rest of the fleet. We do not run from primitives." On the Indomitable, Captain J1 studied the tactical display with growing concern. The alien fleet was adapting to their attacks. They had spread out so much that his railguns could only target a few ships at a time. Worse, his sensors were detecting a massive energy buildup in the alien flagship. Chief Engineer Yun-ah, he called, "What's your analysis of that energy reading?" Yuna's face was pale as she checked her instruments. "Captain, it's unlike anything I've ever seen. The power level is equivalent to a small star. If they're building a weapon with that much energy, it could destroy us even through our shields," Captain J1 finished. "How long until they can fire?" "Based on the charge rate, I estimate 8 minutes, sir." Navigator Yunji looked up from her station. "Captain, I can get us out of range, but we'd have to abandon our attack on the fleet." Captain J1 considered his options. They could run and save themselves, but the alien fleet would continue to Earth. His home world would face the same destruction that had befallen hundreds of other planets. Negative, he said firmly. We're not running. Hyunwoo, can we take out their flagship before they finish charging that weapon? Weapons Officer Hyunwoo studied his targeting display. Sir, the flagship is surrounded by their remaining battleships. They're using them as shields. I can hit the outer ships, but reaching the flagship will be difficult. Then we'll have to get closer. Yunji, plot a course straight through their formation. Navigator Yunji's eyes widened. Sir, that's suicide. We'll be surrounded by hundreds of enemy ships. Sometimes the best way out is through, Captain Jaewon replied. Do it. The Indomitable suddenly changed course, accelerating directly toward the heart of the Vorten fleet. The alien ships tried to concentrate their fire, but the human vessel moved too quickly for them to track effectively. Communications Officer Minho intercepted frantic alien transmissions. Captain, they're panicking. They can't believe we're attacking their main formation. Good, Captain Jaewon said. Fear makes people make mistakes. The Indomitable plunged into the enemy formation like a spear. Railgun slugs fired in all directions, destroying alien ships that tried to block their path. The human vessel's shields, now powered by hours of alien energy weapons, blazed like a small sun. Hull breach on Deck 12, Chief Engineer Yoon-Ah reported as a Vorthon missile found its mark. Emergency teams are sealing it now. Medical Officer So Young's voice came over the intercom. Casualty report. 15 wounded, 3 serious. All are stable and being treated. Captain Jaewon felt each loss like a physical blow, but he couldn't let emotion cloud his judgment. How much longer until we're in range of the flagship? 3 minutes, Navigator Yunji called back. But, sir, the energy reading from their weapon is getting stronger. They're almost ready to fire. On the Vorthon flagship, Admiral Kethvar watched the human ship approach with a mixture of rage and grudging respect. These primitives fought with a courage he had rarely seen, but courage would not save them from the hammer of Dominion. Weapon. Status, he demanded. 90% charged, Admiral, the weapons officer reported. 2 more minutes until we can fire. Sir, Captain Mordun said. The human ship is getting very close. If we fire the hammer at this range, the explosion could damage our own vessel. A small price to pay for victory, Kethvar replied. Begin targeting sequence. The massive weapon began to turn toward the approaching Indomitable. Energy readings spiked across the electromagnetic spectrum as the device prepared to unleash destruction beyond anything humanity had ever imagined. But Captain Jaewon had not survived the Mars. Colonial wars by being predictable. Yuna, how much power do we have stored in our shields? More than the ship was designed to handle, sir. We're at 250% of normal capacity. Can you transfer that power to our weapons? Chief Engineer Yuna's fingers flew over her controls. I can reroute the excess power, but it will leave us with minimal shields for about 30 seconds. Do it. Hyunwoo, prepare Project Hammer. Weapons Officer Hyunwoo's hand hesitated over his controls. Project Hammer was their most secret weapon, something that had never been tested in combat. It was humanity's first attempt to weaponize antimatter. Sir, are you sure? We've only run computer simulations. I'm sure. Load the antimatter torpedo. In the deepest part of the Indomitable, robotic systems activated the ship's most dangerous weapon. Antimatter was the most powerful force humans had ever harnessed. A single gram could level a city. The torpedo contained much more than a single gram. Torpedo loaded, Hyunwoo reported. All safety systems are active. 1 shot, sir. Make it count. The Indomitable suddenly stopped its headlong charge toward the Vorthon flagship. Instead, it turned toward a different target, the massive mothership Eternal Dominion, which carried 50,000 alien crew members and served as the fleet's command center. Admiral Kethvar noticed the change immediately. They're changing course. Target the mothership instead of us? Sir, his tactical officer said. The human ship is powering down its shields. Now would be the perfect time to fire. No, Kethvar said slowly. They're planning something. All ships. Protect the Eternal Dominion. But it was too late. The human ship was already in position. Fire, Captain J1 ordered, the antimatter. Torpedo left the Indomitable and streaked toward the alien mothership. It looked like nothing more than a small metal cylinder, but it carried the power of a star. The torpedo penetrated the mothership's shields and buried itself deep in the vessel's core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then matter met antimatter, in the ultimate expression of Einstein's famous equation. The explosion was visible from Earth. For 10 seconds, a new star burned in space where the Eternal Dominion had been. The blast wave spread outward at the speed of light, crippling dozens of nearby Vorthon ships with electromagnetic pulse. On the Indomitable's bridge, the crew watched in awed silence as the massive alien ship simply ceased to exist. 50,000 lives ended in an instant, but they had been coming to enslave humanity. Direct hit, Weapons Officer Hyun-woo reported quietly. The mothership is completely destroyed. Admiral Kethvar stared at his tactical display in complete shock. The Eternal Dominion had been the largest ship in the Vorthon fleet, protected by shields that could stop anything the Empire had ever faced. Now it was gone, along with the fleet's supreme commander and most of its senior officers. Admiral, Captain Mordun whispered, "What do we do now?" Around them, the Vorthon fleet was in chaos. Ships drifted powerless after the electromagnetic pulse. Others were fleeing in all directions, their crews too terrified to continue fighting. The perfectly organized armada that had entered the Sol system was breaking apart. "Sir," the communications officer reported, "we're receiving surrender. Requests from multiple ships. They want to negotiate." Kethvar's hands shook as he realized the truth. The Vorthon Empire, which had ruled the galaxy for 500 years, had been defeated by a single human ship. On the Indomitable, Captain J1 opened a channel to the alien fleet. "This is Captain J1 to all Vorthon vessels. You came. Here to conquer our world, you brought 3,000 ships against one. You thought we were weak and primitive." His voice carried across space to every surviving alien ship. "You were wrong. We are human. We do not surrender. We do not kneel. We fight for our freedom, and we will never stop fighting." The battle was over, but its consequences would reshape the galaxy forever. Communications Officer Min Ho detected movement on his screens. "Captain, sensors show more ships approaching from Earth. It's our fleet, sir. The rest of humanity's ships are coming, Captain." J1 smiled. The aliens had thought the Indomitable was humanity's only ship. They had been wrong about that, too. Earth had been building ships in secret for 20 years, waiting for this moment. "Welcome to the Sol system," he said to the alien fleet. "Now, you'll see what happens when you threaten humanity's home." Admiral Kethvar stood in the ruins of his flagship's bridge. Half the control panels were dark, damaged by the electromagnetic pulse from the human antimatter weapon. Around him, his surviving officers worked desperately to restore basic systems. "Report?" he demanded, though his voice lacked its former authority. Captain Morden consulted a damaged display. "Sir, we've lost contact with 40% of the fleet. The ships that remain are scattered across the system. Many are requesting permission to retreat. And the humans? Their main fleet has arrived, Admiral. 47 ships, all using the same technology as the one that defeated us." Kethvar closed his red eyes. In 500 years of conquest, the Vorthon Empire had never faced defeat. Now their mighty armada was broken by a species they had considered primitive. On the Indomitable, Captain J1 watched as Earth's hidden fleet took positions around the alien vessels. Each human ship was smaller than the Vorthon vessels, but the aliens had learned not to judge by size alone. "Captain," Communications Officer Min Ho reported, We're receiving a transmission from Admiral Bo-Ram aboard the Earth flagship Defiant. Put her through. Admiral Bo-Ram's face appeared on the main screen. She was an older woman with gray hair and kind eyes, but her expression was stern. Captain J1, congratulations on a battle well fought. What's the status of the alien fleet? They're beaten, Admiral. Most of their ships are damaged or destroyed. The survivors are asking for terms. Any sign they're planning another attack? Captain J1 looked at his tactical display. The remaining Vorthon ships were clustered together, their weapons powered. Down. No, sir. They've had enough. Chief Engineer Yuna approached the captain's chair. Sir, we need to dock for repairs. The battle damaged several critical systems. How bad is it? Nothing that can't be fixed, but we pushed the ship beyond its design limits. We're lucky we're still in one piece. Medical Officer So Young added her report. Final casualty count. 43 wounded, 7 killed in action. All wounded are stable and receiving treatment. Captain J1 felt the weight of those 7 losses. 7 people who would never see Earth again, who had given their lives to save their homeworld. Prepare a memorial service for our fallen crew members. They died as heroes. Yes, sir. Admiral Bo-Ram's voice brought his attention back to the screen. Captain, I'm sending negotiation teams to your location. We need to decide what to do with the surviving aliens. 3 hours later, Admiral Kethvar found himself in the Indomitable's conference room, sitting across from Captain J1 and Admiral Bo-Ram. The alien admiral's 4 arms were bound, but he had been treated with respect. Admiral Kethvar, Captain J1 began, your fleet came here to conquer our world. You failed. Now we must decide what happens next. Kethvar's red eyes burned with shame. Kill me if you wish, human. I have brought dishonor to the Empire. We're not going to kill you, Admiral Bo-Ram said. Despite what you intended for us, we don't believe in unnecessary death. The alien admiral looked confused. You're not going to execute the defeated commander? That is what we would do. That's the difference between us, Captain J1 replied. We fight to protect our freedom, not to destroy our enemies. Admiral Bo-Ram activated a holographic display showing the solar system. Here are our terms. Your surviving ships will be escorted to the edge of our system. You'll be given supplies and fuel for the journey home. In exchange, you'll broadcast a message to your empire explaining what happened here. What message? Kethvar asked suspiciously. The truth, that humanity cannot be conquered, that any fleet sent against us will meet the same fate as yours. Kethvar was silent for a long moment. You would let us go? After we came to enslave your people? Yes. Captain J1 said, but there are conditions. Any alien species that comes to Earth in peace will be welcomed. Any that come as conquerors will be destroyed. You cannot be serious. The Empire has resources you cannot imagine. They will send a larger fleet. Admiral Bo-Ram smiled coldly. Let them try. We'll be ready. 2 days later, the surviving Vorthon ships limped out of the solar system. Their proud formations were gone, replaced by scattered vessels nursing battle damage. Admiral Kethvar broadcast his message to the Empire as promised, though every word felt like poison in his mouth. This is Fleet Admiral Kethvar to Vorthon High Command. Our invasion of the human world has failed. The enemy possesses technology beyond our understanding. They cannot be conquered by conventional means. I recommend immediate negotiations for a peace treaty. The response came quickly. Admiral Kethvar, you are relieved of command. Report to the nearest Imperial base for court-martial. But Kethvar knew the truth would spread despite official attempts to suppress it. The crews of his surviving ships would tell their families and friends. Word would leak to other species within the Empire. Soon, everyone would know that the mighty Vorthan fleet had been broken by a single human ship. On Earth, President Taman addressed the world from the same command center where he had made the decision to fight. My fellow humans, today we have proven that no force in the galaxy can break the human spirit. We have shown that courage and determination can overcome any odds. The celebration lasted for weeks. Captain J1 and his crew were honored as heroes throughout human space. The Indomitable was repaired and upgraded, becoming the flagship of Earth's growing fleet. But the real changes were just beginning. Within 6 months, the first alien traders arrived at Earth. They came from species that had been conquered by the Vorthons, bringing gifts and seeking alliance with the humans who had broken the Empire's power. Admiral Borum established the Terran Diplomatic Corps to handle the flood of contact requests. President Tae-min signed trade agreements and mutual defense pacts with dozens of alien species. Chief Engineer Yun-Ah was promoted to head of Hybrid Technology Division, tasked with combining human engineering with alien science. The results were remarkable: faster ships, stronger weapons, and new technologies that neither species could have developed alone. 1 year after the battle, Captain J1 stood on the Indomitable's bridge as it patrolled the outer system. Earth was no longer alone in the galaxy. Human ships flew alongside alien vessels, exploring new worlds and establishing colonies. Captain, Communications Officer Minho reported, "We're receiving a distress call from the Rigel system. A Vorthon patrol is attacking a peaceful trading convoy. Set course for Rigel, maximum speed," J1 ordered. "It seems some people haven't learned their lesson yet." Navigator Yoon-ji smiled as she laid in the course. "Yes, sir. Time to remind them what happens when they attack innocent ships." The Indomitable and its escort fleet jumped to hyperspace, carrying the message that had spread throughout the galaxy. Humanity protects those who cannot protect themselves. In the 3 years that followed, the Vorthon Empire slowly crumbled. Species that had been enslaved for centuries rose up in rebellion, inspired by humanity's example. The Empire's fleet, once invincible, found itself fighting on 100 fronts against enemies who no longer feared them. Some Vorthon worlds chose to join the growing Terran alliance, abandoning their old ways of conquest for a new philosophy of cooperation. Others clung to the old empire, but they grew weaker with each passing year. Admiral Kethvar, stripped of his rank and exiled from Imperial space, eventually made his way to Earth. He stood in the memorial garden where the 7 fallen crew members of the Indomitable were honored, reading their names carved in black stone. Captain J1 found him there one evening. "Regrets, Admiral?" "Many," Kethvar replied. "I spent my life bringing death to innocent worlds. Your people showed me there was another way." "It's never too late to change," J1 said. "We could use experienced military advisors in our diplomatic corps, people who understand how the old empire worked." Kethvar looked at the human captain with surprise. "You would trust me with such responsibility?" "You've learned the most important lesson of all," J1 replied. "That strength should be used to protect, not to conquer." 5 years after the battle that changed the galaxy, Earth had become the center of a new interstellar civilization. The Terran Alliance included hundreds of species, all working together for mutual benefit. The Indomitable, now commanded by Captain Hyun Woo after J1's promotion to Admiral, continued to patrol the galaxy. Its mission was no longer war, but peace. The ship that had broken the Vorthon Empire now protected trade routes and rescued ships in distress. In the academy on Earth where new officers trained, cadets learned about the day humanity proved that any enemy could be defeated by courage, determination, and the refusal to surrender. They studied the battle not just for its tactical lessons, but for its deeper meaning. When young aliens asked their elders about the Terran Dreadnought, they were told the story of the ship that stood alone against impossible odds. They learned that some species could not be conquered, only befriended or feared. And in the deep space monitoring stations at the edge of human territory, officers like Captain Han Sol watched the stars. They knew that other threats might come someday, other empires that thought humanity was weak. But they also knew that when that day came, The galaxy would see once again what humans were truly made of. The Indomitable and its sister ships would be ready.